Fight in which Omar Nino upset Brian Viloria to take a title belt. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape in the 108-pound weight class between Nino and Viloria. I say it's a mini preview of the main event because Viloria, though he hails from Honolulu, Hawaii, is of Filipino extraction, and Nino, of course, like Eric Morales, is a Mexican. There's a 5-year age advantage for the Hawaiian punch, Brian Viloria. They're equal in height. A 1-inch arm length advantage for Nino, measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. They both weighed in within a pound of the 108-pound limit. Brian Viloria has gone all the way up to 119 pounds overnight. Nino will fight at 113. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman. But first, before we get to Harold, punch stat numbers from their first fight, Larry. A big upset win for Nino.
Nino was a 15-1 underdog. He threw about twice as many punches and landed more than twice as many punches as Viloria.
Now rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Omar Nino Brian Viloria fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. In case a cut is caused by an accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards if the 4 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
Thank you, Harold. Let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, by way of Wynn, Las Vegas, welcome to an evening of world-class professional boxing for your entertainment, brought to you by Bob Arum's Top Rank Incorporated, sponsored by PokerStars.net and your undisputed king of beer, Budweiser. Brought to you in association with HBO Pay-Per-View. All bouts tonight are sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Chairman Dr. Tony Alamo, Executive Director Keith Kaiser, Commissioners Skip Avancino Jr., John Bailey, Joe W. Brown, and TJ Day. Timekeepers at the bell and counting for the knockdown seconds, Steve Esposito and Mike Lachella. The physicians in attendance are Doctors William Berliner, Jeff Davidson, Al Capana, and Rodney Corson. And at ringside, the 3 judges scoring this contest on the 10-point system are Carol Castellano, Samuel Conde, and Dave Moretti. And inside the ring, the man in charge of the action at the bell, referee Joe Cortez. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 12 rounds of boxing for the WBC Mini Flyweight Championship of the World. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing green, official weight, 108 pounds. Professional record, 19 victories, including 12 knockouts, only 1 defeat. From Waipahu, Hawaii, the former WBC Mini Flyweight World Champion, the challenger, Brian, the Hawaiian Punch, Viloria. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing white trimmed with green and red, official weight 107 pounds. His professional record, 24 victories, including 10 knockouts, only 2 defeats with 1 bout even. Damas y caballeros de Guadalajara, Mexico, the reigning, defending WBC Mini Flyweight Champion of the World, Omar El Maestrito Nino.
All right, Brian. All right, back out. All right, gentlemen. We won all the rules in the dressing room. Yo di la regla en el camerino los dos. I expect a good, clean fight. Deme una pelea limpia. Protégete en todo momento. Protect each other all the time. Touch them up, guys. Remember, I'm fair, but I'm firm.
There couldn't be a more vivid contrast between these young men outside the ring. Viloria, a top high school student, 3 years of college. Nino will use some of the purse, he told us, of this fight to repair his 20-year-old Volkswagen, which broke down.
This despite the fact that 10 years ago, Nino had a first-round technical knockout of Jorge Arce, who is now the biggest drawing card in the 108 and 112-pound weight classes. And Nino doesn't even call out Arce for a rematch. He basically says, look, I'm fighting to try to feed my family. I can't even think about trying to get to Arce at this point.
Well, he's got his hands full tonight with Brian. Brian's body language indicates that he is very focused, very upset with himself from the last fight, and he's coming to fight a very determined fight tonight, and it's going to be very hard for anyone to beat him easy tonight.
In the first fight, Viloria landed only 7 jabs in the entire fight. Translation, he was waiting to land a big punch. He was standing and looking at Nino. He was getting hit all night long at moments when he should have been fighting.
I think it was a bad night for him, and it was one of those exceptionally good nights for Omar. So everything worked just the opposite for Viloria. But tonight, I think it's going to be a different fight.
Viloria with the right hand to the body, goes on the attack early. Nino countering with the right hand, and now leading with the right hand there.
Nino is very cagey. He places his punches very good. He moves back. He's a counter puncher.
He won the first fight with his left hand, really, Emmanuel. Hooks and left jabs were by far his best weapons in that fight.
And Brian was basically, because of the great knockouts that he's had and his nickname, the Hawaiian Punch, he was going for the big knockout, and when it didn't happen, he found himself in trouble and lost the decision.
You saw the left hand counter hook by Nino, partially blocked by the right glove of Brian Viloria.
But Nino is fighting a very smart fight again. He's counterpunching, and Brian is now falling into the game of fighting in spots. He's going to have to be more consistent with his attacks and not leave so much time in between.
Right hand lead lands for Nino as Viloria comes in. Viloria reaching with the right hand there. Landed a good quick left hook in the previous exchange.
Good job, crisp punching by both guys.
Right hand by Nino, Viloria with a counter left hook. Both guys are capable of counterpunching.
But Brian is the big puncher. That's one thing that's interesting to see. These guys so small. I was just laughing with that.
Viloria got in a couple of right hands in that exchange. He landed a good uppercut.
Yeah, but Brian is putting a lot of pressure on him, a lot more than in the first fight. And Brian still is the puncher between the two.
Well, you have to remember that in the previous fight before that, he won the title with a first-round knockout.
Absolutely, and I think that went to his head. He had a great, one of the best one-punch knockouts we've saw in a long time, and then he considered himself as a puncher, and he forgot about boxing.
Well, that was a dramatic night because in his preceding fight, he had inadvertently injured Ruben Contreras, who suffered a brain injury, who was regarded as being at death's door for several days. Contreras survived, was at ringside. Viloria kissed him before the fight, and then went in and knocked out his opponent in 1 round. Obviously, there was an emotional hangover from that. And Ray Torres is our interpreter in the red corner, where they'll be speaking Spanish to Omar Nino.
You did very well in this round. Don't forget, when you come out, keep your hands up so you keep him at bay. Yeah. Hit him in the liver. You worked very good. That was a good round. With a lot of intelligence, we got to keep doing the same thing.
Overhand right, son. Yeah. Come back with your left hook. Okay. It's working. It'll work beautiful, all right?
Yes, sir.
Super. All right, son. Let's go get it. Let's go get it. Bye.
You heard trainer Ruben Gomez asking for overhand right and left hook. Brian Viloria politely saying, yes, sir. Over in the opposite corner, Nino has a De La Hoya in his corner. Ignacio De La Hoya, the cut man.
We should point out here that Freddie Roach is normally, and has been throughout his professional career, the trainer for Viloria. But because of all the time he had to spend with Manny Pacquiao, Viloria decided to go with the number 2 man as the head man for this fight.
And the guy that he has as his head trainer normally operates as a cut man in most of the fights in this area out here.
What do you think of that choice, Emmanuel, choosing to use another trainer because he's worried about Roach's attention span while he prepares Pacquiao for the big fight?
Well, I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference, I think. Because Brian himself seems to be very, very possessed and upset with himself in his fight, a very intense fight. But I think he did what he thought was the best for this particular fight.
A long time ago, James Toney learned against what he thought was a lesser fighter, Montel Griffin, that there's always somebody out there who has your number. whose style meshes with you in just such a way that it makes it very difficult for the judges to see you as the winner. The more you watch Viloria and Nino, the more you realize Nino's better against Brian than he is against some other player.
I can see why, too. I'm looking at Brian is still open to get hit with real short right hands after he punches himself. And Brian, in the right here, he's only taking it because he's actually crowding.
He wobbled Nino with the left hook. Nino's going to hold on right now because Viloria stunned him with the left hook at the end of that last exchange.
In the last fight, Viloria would land a punch and then pull straight back and get caught with a tail-end right hand. But this time he's going forward and throwing 4 and 5 punches together.
And now Nino seems more conscious of wanting to lead with the right hand rather than waiting to counter with it. He hit Brian coming in with a right hand that started the big exchange.
Brian is fighting much more intense this round, and his left hook is being a big factor when they have the exchanges.
Nino's already been rocked once in this round by a Viloria left hook. Viloria threw 24 jabs in the first round. He has slowed the pace some here in the second round. Perhaps because of Nino's ability to counter with the right hand.
Viloria is trying to fight with controlled aggression. He probably needs to up it to more relentless aggression because at a distance, Nino seems to be able to handle him with his counterpunching.
I agree, and what he did just there is exactly what Nino did so much the first fight. Punch and get in and out. As long as there's single punching and a big lull between the exchanges, Nino is very effective.
Filipino fans in the arena are rooting for the Hawaiian punch. Brian Viloria, he's of Filipino descent. And we go to the dressing room of Manny Pacquiao, arriving right now in the Thomas and Mack Center. This was also the site of their preceding fight, January 21 of this year, in which Pacquiao was able to knock Morales out in the 10th round. The fight began on even terms. Morales actually led on the scorecards after 5. And then from that point forward, Pacquiao was able to keep stepping up the pace and use his vastly improved right hand. He enters here, flanked by manager Shelley Finkel and by his wife. Pacquiao, who is, as Larry Merchant mentioned to you at the beginning of the show, a giant media star in the Philippines, greets trainer Freddie Roach there as he enters his dressing room. The completion of Nino versus Viloria, and then 2 more fights on the undercard prior to Manny Pacquiao's 3rd assignment against Derek Morales. Round 3 begins here. CompuBox numbers in the 2nd round. Nino 10 out of 41, Viloria 7 out of 39. But Viloria landed the big left hook at the end of one exchange, and Harold Letterman gave him the round.
I think the fight starts right here. Because Viloria has to decide whether he's willing to take the chances of getting hit to come in and pour it on, because I think Nino is just too good for him from outside.
Larry, I agree, and the fight is moving right in the pattern of the first fight right now. Brian has got to step it up and quit giving so much room between Nino, because Nino is fighting a very smart fight now by keeping that zone between them wide.
And mixing it up left and right, mixing it up body and head, mixing it up, sometimes leading, sometimes countering.
Yeah. Brian is a bigger puncher, so he needs to go in and take the risk and gamble and try to land more power punches.
Get those arms out, guys. Don't hold the head, don't hold the head, don't hold the head. Come on.
Nino was confident at the beginning of the fight, and if anything, his confidence has grown.
Nino hasn't landed any one particular signature punch, so to say, at this stage, but he's been busy enough.
And he lands a low blow there, and Joe Cortez is going to stop the action as Viloria looked at Cortez, and there's a warning to Nino for low blows.
Sube los golpes. Let's go, guys. Come on, hey, go. No, cuidado con el codo adentro.
Viloria
Emmanuel, it appears... Emmanuel, it appears to me that both fighters are using...
Hard right hand by Viloria. And the counter left. And those two punches caught Nino's attention. And now Viloria's confidence rises. And now the fight begins to go the way Brian Viloria might want it to go. But he overcommits there, and Nino finds it between the ropes. That blow by Nino was below the belt line of Viloria. On the other side of referee Joe Cortez, they feint, and Viloria tries a jab. He still has not been able to work his jab effectively as a consistent weapon in the fight.
Hey, háblale, deja hablar con Joe. Deja hablar con Joe.
Yeah, don't just stand there. Don't stop. Let it go. Please be alert. Yeah, work the distance.
Here you can see Brian getting close right now and landing punches right hand and the left hook. The biggest difference is he's crowding and getting much closer to Nino than Nino would like.
Something strange between rounds, Emmanuel. Maybe you can comment on it. Where Viloria's trainer walked over to the other corner until the referee shoot him away. I've never seen that.
Harold, how do you have it through three?
Look at Jim, 3-0. 30-27, Brian Viloria. Now, the first two rounds, after Brian Viloria landed the cleanest, straighter punches, Nino was throwing wide. In the third round, Nino did well with the flurries, but all of a sudden, Brian Viloria with that straight right hand sort of staggered Omar Nino. 3-0, Viloria.
I have it 2 rounds to 1.
Now there's a low blow by Nino. Second warning in this round.
This is the way Brian needs to fight. He needs to keep closing the gap, keeping a lot of pressure, making everything be from a shorter distance, which would prevent Nino from being able to time him. Because Nino has more of a loop in his punches. He has to have a lot more punching room.
Nino is catching Brian to the body as Viloria tries to come in.
Mainly on the belt line. Right on the green weight.
And flirting with danger because he's already gotten 2 warnings for low blows in the round.
And now he has been forced into Viloria's fight, more or less.
Now this is the distance at which Brian Viloria hasn't really been able to function effectively against Omar Nino. He needs to get closer. And Nino suddenly not as eager to throw as was the case in the first couple of rounds. No doubt the result of Brian Viloria's power punches. Nino got in a little left of the body. Viloria tapped him upstairs with a left hook.
Brian was considered by most of the members on the 2000 Olympic team as the biggest puncher, even though he was the smallest guy on the team.
I have a question to ask you, Emmanuel. They both seem to be wearing gloves to protect their hands, not real puncher's gloves. Do small guys have to protect their hands more than bigger guys?
No, not as much. Some of them just have injuries, but they're wearing the Reyes gloves, if I'm correct, which is primarily the puncher's gloves. They're not wearing the winning.
Yeah.
They're wearing the puncher's gloves.
They look more pillowy to me.
Yeah, because they were such small guys. Don't forget, they could have both scooted under the bottom strand of the ropes when they entered the ring.
Good left hook by Nino.
So far, the standout punch in the entire fight for the most part has been the left hook of Brian.
Particularly the one in the third round that strafed Nino against the ropes.
Yeah, Nino hasn't found any punch so far to be that effective too much. It's just his movement and ring generalship has given Brian problems, but no particular punch as he found to be effective from hitting Brian.
Correct myself, second round, not third round, in which Viloria landed his best left hook. He landed another good one in this round. Eric Morales, in the eyes of some, has done a miraculous job of training himself or getting ready with his trainer, his father, Jose Morales, for this fight. As recently as 3 or 4 months ago, Eric Morales looked grossly overweight for a 130-pound fighter. He went to Los Angeles and spent 2 months training in a sophisticated gym setup there, doing the kind of advanced training exercises which have never been a part of his routine before. Then he went to his normal training camp at high altitude in Mexico and prepared himself in the way that put the angles and the bones back in his face. And when you can see the bones howling in Eric Morales' face and he looks emaciated, normally that means he's ready to fight. We'll see if at age 30 and after all the ring wars he's experienced, he still has that unique vigor in the ring.
He claims that the toll that those fights have taken on him is a myth.
He'll have to prove it against Manny Pacquiao. Fifth round, and after some uncertain moments in the first 3 rounds, Brian Viloria seems to have found his confidence and is fighting with a spirited step against Omar Nino, who upset him months ago to take a title belt in the 108-pound weight class. Viloria started out, Emmanuel, fighting as a 112-pound professional, and then after more than a dozen fights, moved to 108. Primarily, I assume, to take more advantage of his punching power.
Yeah, I was surprised at it because usually it's just the opposite. It just, to me, I'm still amazed at seeing guys this small being able to fight before these type crowds. 40 years ago, I would have said it was impossible. And the fans are really into these small weight divisions.
Well, some of that began with 1984 American Olympian Michael Carbajal.
Michael Carbajal was our first time in. I think a lot for really the Nassim Ahmed and Kevin Kelly. That fight was a tremendous asset too to the smaller guys.
Well, if Viloria wins this fight and wins a couple of more fights impressively, we could see a real big fight in the flyweight division with him against Jorge Arce.
Or you could see him go to Japan and fight Koki Kameda. He's one of the most exciting young fighters in the sport, a 19-year-old world champion.
Who won the title in his, ninth professional fight?
That's exactly right. One of the biggest stars in Japan at this moment, and a possible pot of gold for any American who's willing to go there to fight it.
They're calling it a knockdown.
Is this going to be called a knockdown of Nino?
Because his glove touched the canvas.
So Viloria gets a big step up on the scorecards as the result of a knockdown of Nino here in the 5th. He got it done with a right hand.
Well, the rule is any part of your body other than your feet that touches the floor as a result of a blow, whether it was a glancing blow on your shoulders or anything, it still constitutes as a knockdown.
The deficits are starting to mount up for Omar Nino. He has been warned twice for low blows. Presumably the next low blow will bring a 1-point penalty from Joe Cortez. Now he has lost presumably a point on the scorecards as the result of the knockdown by Viloria here in the 5th.
He's landed about 3 or 4 pretty good right hands the last couple of rounds.
You need to make him miss more. Come on, you got to play more. You got to work him, but at a distance. If you do that, he's not going to do nothing to you. Keep him at bay.
Hey, son, let's bring it home, all right?
Here you see the right hand that landed really on the shoulder or the back of the head, but nevertheless, he would not have lost his balance and his knee would not have touched the floor if he hadn't have been hit. And any blow above the waist, considered a clean blow, can create a knockdown.
Here comes round 6 of a scheduled 12. Brian Viloria in the gold trunks with the green trim. Nino, white trunks, green trim. Nino from Guadalajara, Mexico. And Viloria from Waipahu, Hawaii. Waipahu is a section of Honolulu, very close to Pearl Harbor. Brian Viloria, who has done a lot of speaking to disadvantaged young people in that section of Honolulu, says it's a tough place. There's a lot of use of the methamphetamine form called ice, and he himself has done what he can at the street level to try to prevent young people from falling by the wayside. Straight right hand lead by Nino, whose punches seem to have no snap at this point in the fight.
No snap, but I think he's found the one punch that he's been effective at with the last 3 rounds, and that's that right hand. And you're going to see more of those little straight right hand leads to the head coming from him.
That time, Nino was punching from the back seat as he was trying to duck away even while throwing the right hand.
I think he respects Brian's punching power.
Wild swinging over the top with the right hand by Nino. Viloria, jab, 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 trying to set up a right hand. Sporadic action. Viloria getting to the body with the right hand. Nino countering up top. Nino's jab looks so slow at times that Viloria must be embarrassed. It actually bothered him in the first fight.
Yeah, but Nino seems to be very alert, and I think he's really been inspired, realizing that he had that knockdown scored against him, so he's way behind on points. And I think he's going to try to come on a little stronger at the end, but I don't know. I think the punching power of Brian is a little too much for him tonight.
This has been a relatively inactive round for both fighters, as Viloria seems to have been trying to measure Nino, looking to land something big, and Nino either taking a rest or staying out of harm's way through most of the round. And the crowd gets restless.
In front of him, come back with the overhand right, left hook, all right? Yes, sir. All right, son? Let's do it, all right?
Yeah.
Don't just say yeah. Let's do it, all right?
Okay.
All right, son. Cut off the ring. Let's get that title, son, all right?
Okay.
Do it for you, son. Do it for you. Shut everybody's mouth up.
Okay, okay.
Round 7 of a scheduled 12 between Brian Viloria and Omar Nino for a title belt in the 108-pound weight class. Harold, do you have it? Through 6.
Okay, Jim. 59, 54, 5 rounds to 1, Brian Viloria. Jim, I got to tell you, Omar Nino is doing nothing. I mean nothing. He's circling, giving the fight away, not busy enough to win rounds. All right, in round 5, Brian Viloria took the round off. Nino landed a couple of straight shots to the body, so he wins the 5th round. But I got to tell you, the previous 4 rounds, Omar Nino is just not busy enough to win a round. 5-1 Viloria.
All right, bring it, bring it, bring it.
Left hook to the body, left hook upstairs by Nino again. His punches at this point without a lot of snap, and now he lands the right hand Straight across the top, there's the right hand.
Right hand again.
And he lands another right hand. Viloria just not able to stop Nino's right hand, who lands it again.
I figured he was going to start throwing more right hand as the fight goes down the stretch, because he hasn't been able to find any other successful punch too much.
Big uppercut.
Uppercut also.
Nino seems to have caught Viloria off guard with a sudden rally here in the 7th round.
The cleanest power punches of the entire fight has been landed all in this last minute.
And it's almost as if Viloria went to sleep, thinking that Nino was no longer going to do anything in the fight, and suddenly Omar mounts a rally, throws 5 or 6 crisp power punches, lands almost all of them, and the fight looks different.
And it was very, very clean, powerful punches, too. There was no grazing punches, directly on the chin.
Now there's a right hand lead that lands for Viloria. But after Harold Letterman told you that Nino wasn't doing enough to win most of the rounds, he's done enough to win this one unless Viloria is able to retaliate at some point. Hard right hand again by Nino. Viloria simply getting painted by those lead right hands.
If Nino continues to fight like this, the rest of the fight, he could possibly retain his title, even with the knockdown scored against him. Brian seems to have been lulled into relaxing, going to sleep, or whatever you would call it. And Nino seems to be very alert right now, and actually seems to be more
right cross and left hook by Viloria, and now he stuns Nino with a hard right cross.
Clean up left hook, caught him beautiful. Great shot right there.
Left hook by Viloria momentarily wobbles Nino. Nino grabs him as he comes in. And again, Nino starts to land cleanly, landing 2 more shots there. Viloria retaliates with more powerful punching. After a couple of nothing rounds, there was action in the 7th. Both fighters landing hard shots.
It's just a little scratch. There's nothing happening. Nothing important. And Miguel is taking care of the cut. Come up, come up. It's just a little scratch. Keep working the same way. Don't just open up that way so he can hit you. Little defense. Keep working the same way.
Here you see Nino having a rally right in the middle of the round. Great right hand, and then he comes right back behind that and lands a tremendous uppercut, if I remember correctly.
Yep, you did.
Great uppercut right between the gloves.
Missed with the cleanup left hook. Nino was intent on doing damage after a couple of rounds of basically standing around. 21 connects in the 7th round, the high in the fight for Nino. He landed 21 out of 58. Viloria 13 out of 49, and most of his were hard shots as well. Nino winning the round on Harold Letterman's card and tightening the fight up just a little bit there. Blood on Nino's nose is from a small cut on the bridge of the nose. We were told between rounds by the Nevada State Athletic Commission that blood is from a cut caused by a punch, not by a butt. So if for any reason the fight was stopped because of that cut, Viloria would win it, regardless of the scorecards. Another right-hand lead for Nino. This time Viloria is ready to counter with a right and left. Gets hit again by Nino, but comes back again.
Once you let Nino get his little rhythm and study and analyze you and time you and keep a distance, he can land those little clean pot shots. Brian has got to make him fight more consistent. Brian has faster hands because he punches more short and more accurate.
A quick left hook upstairs for Viloria after Nino landed a body shot. This time Viloria lands a straight right-hand lead and flashes a little smile as if to say, aha, I landed your punch. Again, the straight right hand lands for Nino.
Yep.
Set up by the left hook in that instance.
Brian is taking a little vacation again, and he's paying for it.
Between rounds, we'll hear from Larry Merchant with Manny Pacquiao in the Filipino Stars dressing room. Nino, the busier fighter down the stretch of this round, lands a body shot. Viloria trying to land one more big one upstairs. Fight seems to be getting closer as we come down the stretch. Now here's Larry Merchant with Filipino star Manny Pacquiao.
Manny, do you expect to see a rejuvenated Morales for this fight?
Yeah, I expected on that, and we can see his face.
You can see it in his face. Can you see whether he will try to change his tactics fighting you?
I think he's go early. You know, he want to go early, and that's why he uses clitoris.
He wants to test you. One last question. Is anybody in the Philippines not going to watch this fight tonight?
I don't think so. Everybody, they're going to watch tonight.
Thank you, Manny.
Thank you.
CompuBox numbers through the 8th round here. Power shots. Nino's landed 80 out of 232, 34%. Viloria 65 out of 259, but Brian throws the harder shots. So you might see the power punch category as something of a wash, although Viloria probably has used it to build a lead in the fight. Nino in the last couple of rounds very effective with those lead right hands over the top.
So I've been away for a few rounds, guys, to do some interviews with Pacquiao and Morales. What's been happening?
Well, to me, my opinion, you have to talk to the expert over there, Mr. Harold. But I think that Nino has won these last couple of rounds with the clean, effective punches. And Brian is fighting the perfect fight for Nino by giving him space, letting him land clean punches, and then getting away and resting in between.
No, he behind the head, my man, okay? Second time.
A near clash of heads in there, and Viloria was concerned about it. He's had 2 or 3 conversations with Joe Cortez. Nino remains fixated on Viloria as he looks for his opportunities to throw the lead right hand, left hooks to the body, and counter punches when Viloria launches his big shots.
And he's even been able to land some jabs between the gloves of Brian, which is surprising.
Straight right hand, left hook combination for Brian Viloria. Every time he throws, Omar Nino is throwing in return as he tries to counter every shot now these last 2 or 3 rounds.
Stop! Stop.
Well, it looks to me, Emmanuel, that Nino knows he was in the hole and is coming to be a little bit more aggressive.
He's fighting with a lot more urgency, and he threw body punches, then next time he attacked, he went to the head.
So Viloria is waiting on him because of that.
Yeah,
Very much like in the first fight.
Right.
Well, I think Brian feels he's got a pretty comfortable lead, especially with the 2-point round with the knockdowns, possibly. But really, from this point on, the last 3 rounds, I have Nino slightly sliding ahead.
Right. Nino has been busier, has been more aggressive,
and more
particularly
intelligent
with that straight right hand over the top. And Viloria, once again, has fallen into the pattern of looking to land something big.
Yeah, Brian is...
And down goes Nino on a Viloria right hand. He did land something big.
Right hand right to the side of the head.
And that could change those rounds I missed.
That could change everything. And it gives you an idea of how many Manny Pacquiao rooters there are going to be in the stands later tonight. Well, because the crowd that rose for Viloria's knockdown of Nino, the second knockdown of the fight, was the Pacquiao crowd.
It's good to be a puncher.
Maybe he needed me back at ringside.
Let's get some Vaseline on his body now. That was only a lucky punch. How you feeling?
Right here, said great right hand, right on the chin, right on the shoulders. Another right hand, which was partly off balance, but I think he'd been hurt from the first right hand.
But the significant point is that is a three-point punch. He was losing the round, and suddenly he gets a two-point round. That could be the whole difference in the fight.
That's one of the reasons why punchers have so much confidence in big fights. They feel like they've always got a chance. Harold Letterman, as the action heats in the 10th. I'm going to take a chance. Let's quickly hear your scorecard. Go ahead, Harold.
Okay, Jim, 6 rounds to 3, 87-82, Brian Viloria. Jim, I agree with you wholeheartedly. For around 6, 7, and 8, Brian Viloria did nothing but look at him. It was so bad, I was going to get up and scream punch. In the 9th round, he opened up with that right hand, knocked him down, and now he's got a commanding 5-point lead, 6-3 Viloria.
Good left hook inside by Viloria there. Nino realizes now he needs to sell out a little bit more. 3 rounds to go in the fight. Behind on the scorecards. Knocked down twice. Never has lost a point for low blows, although he was warned twice early in the fight. Omar Nino realistically has to see himself winning these next 3 rounds to give himself a chance in the fight.
Jim, when he stopped Arce, who was then a young teenager, in the first round, according to Arce, he almost had him knocked out, and Nino came back and landed a punch that was so big they stopped the fight.
So he's nothing if not resilient. He's shown that in this fight, where you could have counted him out a couple of times in the fight, and both times he came back and mounted rallies to put himself back in position to perhaps win it. And let's see if he's got one more rally left in him as Brian Viloria backs him off with a good little left hook.
Now Viloria can afford to be patient because he knows Nino has to take chances.
But still, every time they punch from close distance, Brian still always gets the advantage because of his shorter and more accurate punches. And as you see right there, Nino has to have room because he loops his punches.
But give Nino another A for effort. He's trying to think his way through another win over Brian Viloria. It's just that tonight, Viloria is better than he was several months ago.
Very determined tonight, too.
I say several. That fight was August 10, so it was really only 3 months and 8 days ago. Viloria wanted to get back in a hurry.
Well, and he had a rematch clause undoubtedly, and he was the looming star of this division, so he gets a chance to turn around the loss.
Nino appears to be bleeding from a cut in his scalp, just beyond the hairline in that dark thatch of hair. And I believe it's blood from that cut that is on the left side of Brian Viloria's face.
There also seems a trickle from near the bridge of his nose.
Well, that cut we've covered earlier. Yeah, Larry, that happened while you were gone, and that cut was caused by a punch. And it is indeed a small slice cut across the bridge of Nino's nose.
All right, get some air. We'll work on the cut. You got to throw more punches. Throw your right hand more. More your right hand. You make a miss, but you got to connect.
All right?
Yeah. Agua.
Vaselina. Let's get busy, all right, Brian?
Seconds out.
Rounds 11 and 12 coming up. Brian Viloria trying to take back from Omar Nino a title belt in the 108-pound weight class, which he lost to him on August 10. Power shots in the 10th round. Viloria 13 out of 37. That's his high number for the fight. Nino 7 out of 33. So a confident Viloria fought better in the 10th than did his opponent. And I mentioned before that I thought Nino might need to win the last 3 rounds to give himself a chance in the fight. Incidentally, I mentioned that he's bleeding from a cut behind his hairline, and we were told between rounds by the Nevada State Athletic Commission that that cut was caused by an accidental headbutt.
To any chance of winning this fight, I think on Nino's part is going to have to be by knockout. The decision is definitely out of the question, especially with those 2 knockdowns scored against him, plus losing the majority of the rounds on top of that.
Well, if he got one of the early rounds and he sweeps these last couple of rounds, could be very close.
Based on what I've saw in decisions, Larry, I cannot argue with you.
But, I mean, the critical point, which you've made twice, Manny, is that Viloria has insurance. He has the 2 knockdown points.
But that's what I like right there. You know, and it's hard to see them overcoming those things.
One of the knockdowns was kind of a scrape knockdown. Half off balance was Nino when Viloria managed to put him down with a right hand that really was a glancing blow. The second knockdown was a good, solid right hand inside.
There was a little question about the action knockdown, but the one before that was the better punch. I thought the last one was more.
Right, the right hand that set up the right hand.
Yeah, set it up.
Shot. Yeah.
But nevertheless, they were knockdowns because anything that, whether the punch lands on any part of the body, counts as a knockdown.
Good quick left hook inside by Viloria as Nino was throwing to the right side, or left side of Viloria's body, I should say.
Yeah, that's, you see this speedier and shorter accurate punches coming from Brian when you're getting close.
And Nino, who needs to do a lot now, isn't doing enough because he's reticent to throw at times. Viloria has made his point with powerful counter shots. Right hand body shot for Nino.
Now he's going to probably go to the head probably the next time.
But he's landed his straight right hand flush in full arc a couple of times.
That's the right hand to the head.
Just like that.
That's what
and Viloria has taken the punch well.
Yeah, he throws the body punches on purpose just to set up for the come up with a big right hand to the head after that.
Time. 1 round to go.
Brian, this is the round of your life, son. You either got to win this round or we fucking might as well go home right now, son.
Yeah,
all right?
Yeah. Ryan, win it. It's in your hands, baby. I'm telling you now. This is the round. Take it home now, baby.
Okay,
You got it.
last round, we touch him up, all right?
Close your eye, Brian. Close your eye. Son, give it all you got. There's no tomorrow, Brian. We got to win this round.
Last round, this is it. The 12. We need this round. You got to win it. Because of the 2 knockdowns, you're behind. You won the last round. Yeah, we got to get this round now.
We got to win this round, baby.
Both corners showing a sense of urgency.
In the scoring, what the Viloria needs is 6 rounds to win the fight. What Nino needs to get a draw because of the 2 knockdowns is 7 rounds.
If I was in Nino's corner, I would never even be mentioning anything about a round. I would be going for the knockout. I mean, I wouldn't even mention trying to win a round. That's out of the question now.
I agree with you. Realistically, he's got to try for a knockout.
He's got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Every punch should be with knockout.
I was impressed with the urgency of Viloria's manager, Gary Gittleson, who took the unusual step of going up the steps into the corner. Come on, Brian, this is the round of your life. Obviously, Gittleson feels that Viloria's big-time career is on the table here in this fight.
Which I cannot figure that out. But anyway.
Well, for Ramiro, the stakes are whether he's going to have to fix the 20-year-old car or get a new one.
Yeah. Winning the last round is always good, It's good insurance policy.
You got to like the stomach that Nino is showing and going in here and trying to land something big in the first minute of the 12th. Viloria is just waiting for Nino to make a mistake that he can counter.
He seems reluctant, despite all the urging from his corner, to seize this, to seize the title.
When he crowds him and punches with short, right there, that's when he's the most effective. That's why he should go in and force those exchanges, because his punches will always be a split second faster.
So far, if anything, Nino's been busier in the round, but Viloria has landed a couple of good, clean counter shots when Nino has rushed him.
Well, Brian can afford to have these type of rounds right now, because he's got to fight one as far as I can see.
That may be what he's thinking, even despite the fact that his corner was urging him to go fight the round of his life.
You know, he's not supposed to think. He's supposed to fight.
It's fascinating. Despite the hype about his punching power, and certainly it's there when he gets a chance to land solidly, Viloria reminds me a little bit of Rocky Juarez. He's more passive than his gifts ought to allow him to be.
Yes, you know, Rocky was the same way, and that's what really cost him dearly in the rematch with Viloria.
He just doesn't seem willing to sell out and show the intensity and the commitment that his corner asked him for. Nevertheless, the fighter believes he's won the fight. He's within his rights in doing what he thinks is the right thing. He's on the canvas. He's in the ring. Well, and Brian Viloria may well have taken a title belt back on what was probably not his best night.
Well, you still should try to close big in the last round. I thought Lennox Lewis had won his fight very easily with Evander Holyfield, but I asked for a big 12th round. He looked at me like I was crazy, but he gave it to me and found out if he hadn't won the 12th round big, he wouldn't have even got a draw.
Amazing.
So that's why it's always good to close the show.
So both fighters have been lifted, and now both fighters will celebrate. Harold Letterman, as you see, wound up with Viloria winning 115-111, and Harold gave the 12th round to Viloria. And we'll take a look at the judges who will be scoring the bout. Pretty familiar group. Carol Castellano, you've seen her in Las Vegas before. Scored Morales Barrera 1 and scored that fight 115-113 for Morales, who was the winner of Barrera. Morales 1. A lot of ringside observers thought the decision could have gone the other way. Samuel Conde of Puerto Rico, 66 title fights. He was the one who had Antonio Margarito ahead of Daniel Santos when a 10th round stoppage occurred, and Santos, there was a headbutt in the fight, got a technical win over Margarito, the only blemish on Margarito's record in recent years. Dave Moretti, 89 title fights. He was one of the 6 different Vegas judges who were involved in Taylor Hopkins, and like 5 in total, 4 of the others. Moretti scored Taylor the winner over Hopkins 115-113. Michael Buffer stands by with the official numbers on who has won this fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, by way of Win Las Vegas, we go to the scorecards. Dave Moretti scores about 115-112 for Nino. Carol Castellano and Samuel Conde both score it 113-113. The scoring comes out to a majority draw. The champion retains his title.
Brian Viloria knocked Omar Nino down twice,
but he didn't win more than half of the rounds. He won 7 rounds on those 2. He won 5 rounds. So the 2 extra points he gets for the knockdowns result in a draw.